Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Um, Hope everybody had a good weekend. Let's see, what is it? We're in our 40th day of lockdown, something like that, I think. I'm in a different location this morning. I'm in the breakfast nook, so I've got the kitchen behind me. And it's a little dark, but I hope you can see okay. I'm curious how you guys are reacting to the fact that people have kind of taken upon themselves to just go out. And California this weekend, we were up in the 90s, so a lot of people just headed out to the beach and said, I'm gonna just get out there and do what I wanna do. We've got 14 states that are either open or never went into shelter in place. So things are starting to happen. And I really want you to, if you will, go on to the comments section after this and let me know what you think about all of that, because I'm really curious what your thoughts are. I'm going to answer some questions and then I'm going to tell you what we're doing this week because it's different. Robin and I, by the way, are continuing to shelter in place. We're kind of homebodies, so it's easier for us. We stick up here and kind of hang out together anyway, so we're doing fine. No complaints. I'd feel kind of stupid complaining because we've got the two of us and a very comfortable home, and I'm not one of those people that are going to be saying, oh my God, how horrible is this? We're very fortunate. We've not been ill and we're very comfortable. So I've just been doing what I can to put a message out there. And you guys know that my message has been, we have to find a responsible way to get back into the world, or we're going to see more problems from continuing to be locked down and continuing to have the economy collapse around us than we will if we catch the full brunt of this virus. It's a balancing point. We have to figure out how much do we give up if we go path A, how much do we give up if we go path B. Neither one is without risk, neither one is without problems. I've always said that. I've said it from day one because I understand that there's tremendous fallout from being locked down and tremendous fallout from people that have spent 30 years building a business that then goes away in 40 days and can never come back. And I've talked to so many people that I've run into by the miracle of the internet that are just crying. I mean, they're saying, our family's worked in this for generations and now it's just gone. And there's no way we can get it back. And we had employees that worked for us for 30 years and we can't keep them, they're gone. So there are problems to that side too. So on the other hand, we've got 55,000 plus Americans that have lost their lives. So there are problems on both sides. I get that. I wanted to answer some questions and I want to tell you what I'm going to do on the show this week because I think it's a very different thing than what we've been doing. Question from Alicia Lemming Ivy. How do we respond when teens roll their eyes when we talk to them? Just keep being consistent and ignore it? Or if we should acknowledge this behavior, how should we address it? Look, I don't know, Alicia, how old you are. I'm no spring chicken, but I do remember being a teen. And I think it was about 18 when I knew everything there was to know. I'm pretty sure that's when it was that I knew everything. I had all the knowledge there was in the world. But I've always said, kids don't listen. They do roll their eyes. They just seem to not pay attention, but they're always watching. They may not seem to be listening, but they're always watching. And you are a powerful role model in their lives. So they may not hear what you say in the moment, but they watch what you do. And the most powerful strategy I've ever hit upon in my 45 years in this profession, in dealing with teens, is to appeal to their greed. Seriously, appeal to their greed. Here's what you know about teens. They want what they want when they want it, and they want it right now. They want what they want when they want it. And when do they want it? They want it right now. They have a currency. What do they want? Do they want freedom? Do they want money? Do they want a car? Do they want a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Access? What do they want? Figure out what they want. That's their currency. And when you control their currency, you control them. So figure that out, and that's where you negotiate from. Appeal to their greed. I always tell teens they can negotiate for more than they can steal, cheat, sneak around, go out the window. If they'll just engage and negotiate, they can get more. So appeal to that greed. Understand what they want. Meet them where they are instead of asking them to meet you where you are. Because you can say, well, we did it this way, but I haven't seen any covered wagons go through here lately, so you got to meet them where they are. Lucinda Overstreet, a name I can pronounce. Thank God, a name I can pronounce. Lucinda Overstreet, I love you just because I can pronounce your name. Do you think vitamin C helps? Well, first off, let me qualify this by saying I'm not qualified to answer that. I'm not a infectious disease specialist. I'm not a molecular microbiologist. I can't tell you how all that works. I can tell you from what I've been told by the many experts that I've talked to and have had on the show, and I gave you a list of those, I think last week, and they're posted on the website so you can click on them and see what they have to say about this. Vitamin C does seem to have some help because it supports our immune system, generally speaking. I don't think it's specific to coronavirus, but it supports the immune system generally, and so they seem to think that it helps. Again, in moderation, you don't want to just go crazy with it. And listen to the scientists and what they say about this. That's what you have to do. That's why I listed all those people on the website. We've had these people from Harvard, Yale, Duke, UCLA, USC, Stanford, the top learning centers in the country. They're the ones that I'm paying attention to, and all I'm doing is conveying to you what they tell me because I have access to them and you may not. I know this: do not drink bleach, do not drink disinfectant, don't inject disinfectant, and don't swallow light bulbs or light sticks. I think there was some miscommunication about that. I think there was a hurry-up briefing before those statements were made, and there was some confusion, and I don't think there was any ill intent, but I think some very bad messages got sent out, so please don't do that. Aaron Lynch Hegarty, another name I can pronounce. What's the proper way to use gloves to prevent cross-contamination? If I'm grocery shopping, wearing gloves, do I dispose of them as I exit the store before touching my car, etc.? You know, think about this in a commonsensical way, and I really have gone over this with the infectious disease people, and I was on the phone on a Zoom session with infectious disease specialist Thursday night from my house. I had a group meeting with some docs, and you need to think about it in terms of assume when you go somewhere, a store, a restaurant, out in the world, assume you have picked up germs. Just assume that you have. Let's think about it that way. Assume that you have. And then you get back to your abode. You get back to the house. You want to leave everything that was outside your door. So whether it's packaging for your food, the sacks that you carry it in or whatever, everything that was outside, assume it's contaminated. Just for argument's sake, assume it's contaminated. Do you want to bring that inside your house? Do you want to bring it inside where you hang out? And of course, the answer is not just no, but hell no. So if you know that your car is decontaminated, if you know it's wiped down and it's disinfected, then assume that those gloves have been contaminated if you've gone into a foreign environment, a store or a doctor's office or wherever you've gone for essential services. Assume you pick something up there. If you know your car is clean, then open the car door with your gloves, then take them off, properly dispose of them, and then get in your car knowing it's clean. And then when you go home, the second you get there, take everything out of the bags, again, with gloves, new gloves, take it inside the house, put it on the counter, wash your hands very carefully, and then unpackage the food. When you unpackage it, wash your hands very carefully and put it in your own containers. So just think about it. Assume that your hands and your gloves are contaminated at every step and wash them before you go to the next step. Get rid of gloves, change gloves, or wash your hands before you go to the next step. Break the chain every chance you get, and you'll be safe. And I was talking to the infectious disease doc, and they said, you've got to break the chain because you can pick it up at stop 1, and it only gets to stop 4 if you don't break the chain at 2 or 3. Break the chain. Get rid of the gloves. Wash your hands. Do whatever. And every time you do that, you break the chain and start a new one. And if the new one is less likely to be contaminated than the first one, then you lower your odds. That's why washing your hands 10, 20 times a day can make a difference. 5, 10 times a day makes a difference. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Emily Ann said, when the vaccine does come, how can we trust that there's not going to be false or long-term effects to trying to live? Look, there are no guarantees for anything, but science is it's based on mathematical certainties. When I went to school, when you're in your doctoral program, you declare areas of emphasis just like you do as an undergraduate. Like when you're undergraduate, you choose a major like education or sociology or business. When you're in your doctoral program, you do the same thing. You choose an area of focus. And I chose 2 areas of focus for my PhD. One was clinical and the other was behavioral medicine. So I completed 2 tracks in that regard. But you have to do a master's degree along the way. And mine was in research and experimental psychology, research psychology. And so I studied a lot about statistical models and research, the scientific model. And what we do is we test things to a level of scientific probability. And what you do is you say our findings were certain to a statistical probability of, say, 0.05 or 0.01 or 0.001. And what that means is I can tell you this is statistically significant in that it wouldn't occur at random. The chance of it occurring at random would be 0.001, be like 1 time out of 1,000. So when they tell you this vaccine is safe, there's not a medication out there that doesn't have side effects, right? When you watch these ads on television and they say, okay, here's the XYZ medicine and it's going to cure your what ails you. 45 seconds out of that 60-second commercial are disclaimers, right? This can cause you to have headaches and stomach aches and arthritis. Oh, and it can kill you, by the way. They do that for liability purposes. The chances of most of those things happening are statistically very low. So there's no guarantee, but I, for one, take a flu shot every year, because what they do with a flu shot is they take a little piece of the virus, the flu virus. It's dead. It's not a live virus. It's a piece of the dead virus. They inject it into your body, and your body recognizes it and starts to build up an immune reaction to it. It starts to build up antibodies. That's why you need to take that in September, because by the time the flu gets here in October, November, your body has built up antibodies in reaction to what was injected into your body. It's had time to build up antibodies, which fights off the flu when you get exposed to it. So when they come with a vaccine, it's probably going to be very effective. Is it going to be 100%? No. It's going to either keep you from getting it, or it's going to reduce the effects, because you've already started fighting it before you contract it. So when they come up with a coronavirus vaccine, I will be first in line to take it. I will absolutely take it, no question about it. So hopefully you will all do the same, but that's your own decision. You know, they always ask you before you take it, now, you haven't had a cold or been ill in any way, right? The reason you need to take it when you're healthy is because if you've been sick, your immune system's been fighting something off, so it's depleted, and it won't be able to handle the injection of that virus. You want to take that flu vaccine when you're healthy, so your immune system can focus on that and build up antibodies against that, or it might make you sick. So don't take those vaccinations if if you've been sick. Okay, let me tell you what we're going to do this week. I pay attention to the collective psyche of the country. You know, when I did work in the litigation arena, the legal arena, when I worked in the courtroom, I always said, when you looked at the jury, if there were 12 people on the jury, there were at least 13 personalities over there. There were 12 people on the jury, but then there was the collective personality of the jury together. That was the 13th personality in the jury box. The collective personality. And I've paid attention to the collective personality of our country right now. And I think people are getting fed up with the lockdown. I think people are getting into what's called category fatigue. It's just been coronavirus, wall to wall, 24/7, every channel, everywhere. And we've just really gotten into overload, category fatigue. And I've done like 40 shows on this to try to convey to everyone that there are psychological reactions to all the stress that's been associated with this. We have to pay attention to those. I've tried to raise awareness about that, and we're going to start seeing that come to the forefront very soon, long after the lockdown is over with. I've delivered that message to anybody that'll listen. Some people like the way I did it. Some people don't like the way I do it. That's okay. As long as you hear it, I don't care whether you like it or not, as long as you hear the message. You can hate on it, you can love it, as long as you hear it, I don't care. It's not about me, it's about the message. But I think, looking at the collective psyche, people need some normalcy in their life. They need to get back to pre-pandemic patterns in their life in some way. So from now through the end of May, I'm going back to non-pandemic based shows. Before we got shut out of our studio, we had a group of shows, really top-notch shows, that we had actually taped and saved for what are called May sweeps. May sweeps are a time where you you run shows that are real important for the advertisers and all of that. So you run some of your best shows in May. And so we had collected a group of shows that were taped in studio that we were going to run in May. And we thought, well, we can use them in September because some of them were evergreen. We said, nope, I'm pulling back on coronavirus. I'm going to continue to talk to you guys here, and I'm going to run pre-pandemic shows on the things that I know you all love, because that's what causes you to tune in, and it's what made me, it's why you guys have made me the #1 show for the last 8 or 9 years. And I'm bringing you that content starting today. Starting today. Now, there are 2 shows this week that I shot from home, but they're not pandemic shows. Then all the rest of the shows from now through the end of May are shows we shot on stage that were before words like pandemic, shelter in place, COVID-19 were even in our vocabulary. These are shows that are the things that you love. Today, I have Denise and Jared on, and they have a son, Zach, who they say is on the spectrum. He's on the autism spectrum. And this is a 10-year-old boy that is dominating this family. He is violent. He attacks people. He destroys this home. He's running roughshod over this family. They absolutely don't know what to do. But you are going to see some miraculous things happen with this child today. I bring in an expert, Megan St. Clair, who's a behavioral expert that works with children on spectrum. And I send her into the home to implement some behavioral changes. And you're going to see some things that you can use with your own children, whether they're on the spectrum or not. Dr. Charles Sophie is involved to explain the spectrum and what all it means. Great show, really interesting. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Now, that's a stage show. Tuesday's show, I actually shot from home, but it's not about the pandemic. It's framed in the pandemic because Karen and Chuck have their son Charlie, who had to move home because of the pandemic. But the issue is an adult child living at home. And you know we deal with that a lot. And he's playing video games, sleeping till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just really not getting any traction. And he's saying, look, I don't want to be here. They closed down my college. I had to come home. I don't want to be here. And he admits he's stuck. He's just had his heart broken with a relationship he was in. And these are nice people in a bad, bad situation. So that one's shot from home, but has nothing to do about pandemic. Wednesday, Tara and Mike are on, and she says he is a smooth-running sociopath that is just really destroying her life. He says she is manic, that she's an artist and a teacher, but that she is just out of control manic. And these two are absolutely at each other's throats, and we shot that from the stage. Thursday is the last pandemic show that I'm going to do for a while, and I decided to include it because Tom, they're down in Florida, this family, Tom and Jill, and he thinks this whole thing is a fraud. He just thinks this whole coronavirus, COVID-19 thing is just an overblown fraud. And he's just going about his business. He doesn't care. He just said, you do what you want to do. And she said, he's 40 pounds overweight. He got the flu two years ago and was in bed for 2 months, damn near killed him, just the flu. And now he's out going around like nothing's wrong. He's just running his business. He's not even, he doesn't wear a mask, he doesn't wear gloves, he doesn't stay home. He's just going about his business. Our kids are watching him, and I don't know what to do. What do I do when I take this seriously? I'm afraid for his life, and he won't even discuss it. He thinks it's all just a scam. So I thought that was an important discussion to have as my parting shot on talking about this on the air. And then Friday, I like to do shows that are a little lighter on Friday. I think we just need to lighten up some on Fridays going into the weekend, even if the weekends are spent at home. We've got a guy that lives in Vegas named Mark Anthony. That's his first and last name, but he insists on being called Mark Anthony. You can decide for yourself why that is. He has a Russian bride named Marina. He met her in Vegas. She was there trying to work as a DJ. She's a very attractive woman. And she's a Russian bride-to-be, and they got into a bit of a argument, and she went back to Moscow. So I'm talking to her from Moscow and him from Vegas, and they're asking me if I think they should get married or not, and they explain the pros and cons, and I weigh in on this very clearly. I find him to be interesting. I'll let you decide. I'll let you decide what you think about this. They're both very interesting. There's a lot going on there. I'll let you decide what you think about that. But look, I'm going to stop. But guys, we're 40 days in, I think it is. Some states are ending the shelter in place May 1st, which, what's the date today? This is the 27th. So, sometime this week, some states are ending the shelter in place. 14 either didn't ever start shelter in place or have already started modifying it. Several more are going to, coming up this week. I don't think you need the government to tell you what to think or what to do. I think if they hadn't gotten involved, we would have figured this out, but it is what it is. All I'm telling you is use common sense, particularly if you're advanced in age or you have an underlying condition. This can get really bad for you. I'm not saying that there haven't been fatalities in every age group, because there have. There have been infant fatalities, childhood fatalities, 30s, 40s, 20s. But those represent probably 1% or less. The vast majority are 60s, 70s, and on with underlying conditions. But use common sense and realize that when the economy has been shut down like this before, and it's only happened twice to my knowledge, and I'm not a great historian, but twice to my knowledge has it ever been shut down this dramatically, and that was World War I and World War II. And after both of those world wars, there was a tremendous pent-up appetite for goods and services, and a lot of jobs that had to be done to provide those goods and services, and a lot of things that got neglected while things were shut down, and people had to get back to doing those jobs. And so there was a real bounce back after that. I'm the incurable optimist, you know that. I think there's a way for this to turn around. Be smart, take care of yourselves, and we will get through this. I know we will, and I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. I know you've been frustrated that we've been preempted so much. I think President Trump has now said he's going to stop his 2-hour-a-day press conferences. So that'll cut back some on our being preempted. But hang with me. Check in at the regular time. I think we're going to be on pretty much all this week. So, and they're all new shows, no reruns, no nothing. Worked hard on these shows for you. You chose what you wanted us to put on, and that's what we're putting on. So tune in, and I'll appreciate it when you do. I think you'll come away feeling better about yourself than you did before you watched the show. So I'll be talking to you later this week. I'll give you advance notice of when it's going to be, and I'll be talking to you. Send in your questions because I'm answering them, and let's continue to get through this together. You know, we've been doing this together now for, gosh, 23 years, and more to go. Let's just hang together. I'll talk to you soon. So long.